Once upon a time, all food was organic. But then, in the late 1990s, chemical companies said to the farmers, plant these special seeds and spray these chemicals onto your fields to kill bugs and weeds.
Those special seeds have been genetically modified to resist herbicides or have pesticides already built into them. Studies have connected many health issues to GMOs and pesticides.
Yuck, I don't want to eat poison.
And pesticides don't dry off, wash off, or cook off.
When I ate organic, my rashes went away.
When I ate organic, my asthma went away.
My stomach doesn't hurt when I eat organic. Farmers see their soil is better when they grow organic.
We want you to buy organic too!
I'm Zen Honeycutt, founder of Moms Across America. Together, we can share, support, and inspire action. And we will cause a multi-billion-dollar shift to organic together. Let's remind our farmers that they can farm as they have for thousands of years before, without GMOs and toxic pesticides.
Zen Honeycutt is the founder and director of Moms Across America, a national coalition of unstoppable moms leading the way in shifting the marketplace to organic. After realizing GMOs and the toxins in the food supply were contributing to her son's health issues, Zen created Moms Across America and supported mothers to instigate over 1,000 local events nationwide and reach over 120 million people on social media. MAA has been featured in dozens of international films, hundreds of podcasts and news outlets because mothers decided to take matters into their own hands and transform the food supply and health in America and beyond. This is the Counterculture Mom Show. I'm Tina Griffin. Your blood will boil and you will discover another cause to fight for as we uncover the dangers of GMOs. Get ready to rock and roll with Zen Honeycutt, founder of Moms Across America. Zen, how you doing today?
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your audience as well.
Absolutely. Now, I saw you on Fire recently. You were on a Del Big Treats program, and I was working out the Y, and my blood was boiling there as I was doing a couple miles here on the treadmill. I'm like, we've got to track her down. GMOs, I knew they were bad. You attacked the specific side of that with how the elites, the globalists, are pounding the pavement by shoving that in our food supply for our kids in schools today. That really seriously irked me. So we're going to dig into that specifically. You educate and empower mothers and others with actions and solutions to create healthy communities. This is fantastic. Can you tell us how you got started in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like millions of mothers across the nation today, as you saw in the video with the children, our kids were dealing with and are dealing with allergies, autism, autoimmune issues, asthma, all kinds of problems that we never had as children, Tina, I would venture to say, and didn't know kids that had those issues. Maybe one kid. And now in our classrooms, when I talk to a teacher, she says, I've got a preschool class of 13 kids. 12 of them are on the autism spectrum, right? Yeah, probably half of them have some type of allergies, or as you saw in the video, their allergies are up hundreds of percentage of the times. So our kids were struggling with health issues. I looked into the food supply and found out about GMOs, realized that they'd been put in the food supply 17 years ago, at that time, which is now 12 years, but beyond that, and realized that the GMOs and the glyphosate and the agrochemicals definitely had something to do with my children's health issues. And once I switched the food over and saw them get better when they ate organic, I realized this was something that I needed to let everybody know about.
Unbelievable. Can you give detail of your son's health issues, like what was going on with him and at what time you saw that happening? Was he a young toddler?
My first son, when he was a baby, he had all kinds of digestive issues, crying, the green poop, the inability to digest properly, and occurred like colic or just being a fussy baby. Then we found out he had a couple dozen different allergies, and I had to avoid milk, and I didn't find out about gluten until later, but he had all kinds of allergies. And at Thanksgiving, when he was about 5 years old, he almost died of a pecan in the stomach. We had to go to the ER. It was horrific. And I basically kind of wheeled him back to life in the backseat of the car, pushing on his chest and begging him to breathe. It was one of the most horrendous moments of my life. And that moment when he was looking at me, like basically asking me for help with his eyes, and I knew I was helpless, I couldn't do anything except for pray to God, I knew I would never want to go through this again. I didn't want any parent to ever go through it again. And that moment was really the moment that gave me the courage to speak up in front of Monsanto, to, speak out at Dow and DuPont and all these chemical companies that have poisoned our food supply. And they've created GMOs, genetically modified organisms, in order to sell these chemicals and under the guise of we're just going to feed the world. So that moment of almost losing my son's life really spurred me on to be able to speak up and speak out. Like many of the moms and parents, I'm sure, listening to the show, they will do anything to protect their kids. So for me, that was the moment. And once we switched to first GMO free, his allergies got dramatically better. When we switched to organic, his allergies, as my son said in that video, went from a 19 down to a 0.2. So my eldest son, none of my sons have allergies that are life threatening, or some of them have gone away completely. They can eat dairy, eggs, wheat, and even nuts, as long as they're organic. And that's because of what's been done to the food. It's not the food, it's what's been done to the food.
Absolutely. And your son almost died from what again?
From a pecan in the stuffing. So nuts.
Oh my
The nut allergy. Yeah, that my husband and I never had when we were kids. And we realized that was because when he got tested, he had gut dysbiosis. He had holes in his small intestines. And the doctor told me that, the majority of kids in America actually have this. They have gut dysbiosis. They have holes in their small intestines. And your kids are just lucky that they have a mom that's finding this out.
Oh my gosh. I have chills. I have chills.
Why aren't more people finding out about this? And when I learned about GMOs, one of the first types of GMOs I learned about is called Bt toxin. That stands for bacteria thuringiensis. It's a toxin that's been genetically engineered to reproduce more toxins. It's like a little toxin factory. And guess what it does to the stomach of the bug? When the bug eats it, it reproduces more and more toxin, and then it explodes the stomach of the bug that eats it. It puts holes in its small intestines.
Oh my gosh. So what is that doing to us?
Exactly. That's in the corn, that the corn chips and their tortillas and the corn cereals, that's what was in that food. And when we have this rise of Crohn's disease and IBS and allergies and holes in the small intestines of our children, you've got to put 2 and 2 together. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what's happening, especially when you know that is the function. That's how it works, right? And then the second type of GMO is called HT, that's herbicide tolerant, and that's genetically engineered to resist herbicides so that a tractor or an airplane can spray an entire crop of corn or soy or sugar beets with something like glyphosate herbicides, Roundup Ready, and the crop will not die, but the weeds and pretty much everything in the soil will die. So the problem with that is that the crop is Roundup Ready and the residues get on the crop, but we're not Roundup Ready. We consume those residues. And that the glyphosate is a carcinogen, an endocrine disruptor, it causes kidney disease, liver disease, it kills off sperm, and it actually androgenizes baby girls. It makes the anogenital distance in the baby girls on their bodies longer, which is a masculine trait. It causes miscarriages and birth defects and neurological disorders. There are hundreds of studies out now showing the harms of glyphosate.
That is just unbelievable. And you know what? When I was a kid, I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, and we had 300 acres, 120 head of cattle, and it bothered me. And my dad had to spray that white powdery residue on the crops. And he's like, I don't know what else to spray on this. These are our options. This was 30, 40 years ago, but it drove me crazy. I'm like, what does it do? Well, it kills the bugs, it kills the weeds. I'm like, Dad, if it's killing that, it's going to be killing us. It just made complete sense to me as a kid. Why are we doing this? All right, blood is starting to boil. We're going to be back with Zen more after this and how we can combat this mess.
In a world where technology surrounds us, our exposure to EMR, or electromagnetic radiation, is higher than ever before, with over 400,000 cell towers and antennas in the United States alone, not to mention Wi-Fi that runs 24/7 in our home, cell phones that are carried in our pockets hours on end, and hundreds of 5G satellites in our orbit. Common complaints are ringing in the ear, sleep deprivation, heart palpitations, insomnia, and so much more. Start protecting yourself now. Introducing Redemption Shield, your EMF protection products. With over 700 5-star reviews, Redemption Shield is leading the way in shielding and grounding products, taking inflammation out of your body with grounding bed mats, grounding bed sheets, hats, scarves, Wi-Fi router covers, cell phone bags. Come and see us today at redemptionshield.com and get grounded and shielded. Redemptionshield.com. Use code TINA and save 10%.
I am passionate about my health and taking care of myself and my family. One company that I'm very excited to partner with is Ascent Nutrition. They provide holistic nutritional supplements for us and our pets, and they have the most incredible organic, mold and mycotoxin-free coffee on the planet. Their pine needle extract includes wild harvested pine needles, which improves immunity and brain function. I'm also using their humic and fulvic acid, which binds to heavy metals, supporting detoxification and increases my energy level. Their pine pollen tincture is a great support for libido and hormone health, and they have the cleanest source of omega-3s in their algae oil DHA, which is essential, especially for us moms and our kids. Head to goascentnutrition.com/Tina and use code Tina at checkout to save 10% off on your entire order. That code can be shared with others, so spread the word. 10% off using code Tina at goascentnutrition.com/Tina. Let's get our body back on track together. Zen, we're back during commercial break. You mentioned that we did go over 2 GMOs, but there's a third one everybody needs to know about. What is that third GMO?
The third GMO I call DT, or desired trait, to follow along suit with the BT and then HT. The BT is the one where the pesticide is built right in. The HT is the one where it's resistant to herbicides. And the DT, desired trait, has nothing to do with herbicides or pesticides, which sounds great. However, it is engineered to have a desired trait, such as more vitamin A in the rice, or a potato that doesn't brown, but it's actually masking the browning. It's still browning, it's still rotting. They're just masking it, right? Pink pineapples, fish that are genetically engineered to grow 4 times fatter, 4 times faster, and be sterile. Things like that, desired traits. Now, the problem with those desired traits, even though they might sound good or look good, like the pink pineapples or the apples that don't brown, the problem with that is that those type of GMOs have been shown to cause thousands of off-target mutations.
Yes.
That means taking it elsewhere in the body has unintentional consequences, right? There's uncontrollable and unintentional. I think we should be intentional about the food that we eat. I think we should know what the consequences are. And I'm not interested in feeding that type of GMO or any type of GMO to my children when I've got all kinds of social media and school and sports and homework things to worry about. I want to know what's going on with my food. So I think that all of these GMOs should not be in the food supply, especially since they have not been safety tested. No long-term, animal studies or human studies have been done proving safety. In fact, there's been hundreds and hundreds of studies showing that they're harmful. And those studies continue to be ignored by our regulatory agencies because they're being funded by the chemical companies that make them.
That's exactly it. They're all in bed together. And doing research on these globalists for about the age of 16, we're going on about 30 years for me now. I look at who's behind it. Can you rattle off some names, companies? Because our crowd for almost 3 years of pumping out almost 600 episodes, they're well aware of the culprits, but you're shedding so much light on the GMO aspect of food. So thank you for that knowledge. So who's behind this chaos?
So it's Monsanto primarily that was bought out by Bayer. So now Bayer, the ones that make aspirin and, all kinds of cancer drugs, by the way, they make the carcinogenic agrochemicals that cause the cancer drugs. And then they also make cancer drugs. So Dow DuPont has merged. They're together now. And Syngenta and AgChem, which is owned by China. And BASF is also a big one out there. And these types of corporations, it should be pointed out, also have sister corporations that are pharmaceutical companies. Like AstraZeneca is the sister company of Syngenta. AstraZeneca has over 400 drugs that treat the very same symptoms that Syngenta's pesticides cause. This is a perfect profit circle. They make money from making us sick, folks. Do not, there's no confusion about it.
Absolutely. And all 4 episodes, everyone, you must watch all 4. Howard came on our program in this series. Check out Howard with his unbelievable diagrams that he explains to everybody on exactly what you just said in detail. My jaw was on the ground. I made a statement saying, oh, they're all in bed together. This is what they're trying to do to make us sick, to then they give us a solution, which is actually killing us more, tracking or tracing, you name it. And he said, I got a diagram for that. And it blew my mind. You think you've seen everything, and then comes you guys on for GMOs. Unreal. Can you tell us about your recent school lunch and fast food testing? This made me livid.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 30 million GMO meals are served each day to our children in schools, and our children, 54% of them have a chronic illness. So we thought, hey, it might be a good idea to take a look at school lunches. And then we also learned in the process of that fast food suppliers are the suppliers of the school lunches. Isn't that gross?
My word.
Yeah, they're the ones supplying the school lunches to our schools. And so we tested them, and we found over 93% of school lunches were positive for glyphosate. 100% of the fast food samples were positive for glyphosate. And we tested over 40 samples, 43 samples of school lunches, 42 samples of fast food. So that is a scientifically significant number. The EPA and the FDA, they cannot ignore these numbers. And we found pesticides in over 74% of school lunches, over 76% of fast food. We found heavy metals in 100% of all of the samples. And some of the percentages were, for instance, 900% higher lead in the Sonic cheeseburger, over 1,100% higher of cadmium than the EPA allows in drinking water in In-N-Out French fries, and over 6,923% higher of cadmium in school lunches than the EPA allows in drinking water. So thousands of times higher of heavy metals. According to the EPA's own laws, one called TSCA, school lunches and fast food meals would have to be banned because of the heavy metal levels in these foods. And these are carcinogenic and neurotoxic. Some of the neurotoxicity is so severe, it can cause lifelong damage.
I was just going to ask you about that. And it makes me question, speaking in schools around this country for 2 decades now, on other topics, you got the destroying food products going in their gut. I'm talking about what's going in their brain for pop culture. And look at how many kids are depressed, suicidal, cutting. It makes me question this garbage in the kids' foods that they're getting every single day in America, how that affects their mental state, just their mental state with their brain. You wonder why the grades are plummeting, and then they become depressed because they can't think straight. Well, and then they're not allowed to go outside for recess practically anymore. We might have to do a whole new series with you. What are your thoughts on what I just said with that?
Well, I think you're right on the money with that. It's mental health issues are exploding across America. They say 1 out of 5 Americans have mental health issues, but that number is at least 10 years old. And so I believe that we have a chronic mental health issue. And by that, I mean not just depression and moodiness, but people end up getting on SSRIs, in order to, which is about serotonin, which is what that gets all messed up when you eat glyphosate because it kills off the beneficial gut bacteria where serotonin is. So if you're not eating organic, you're messing with your serotonin levels and you are increasing your chances of being depressed. When people take those SSRIs to cover up the Band-Aid of their depression, a lot of those SSRIs can cause homicidal thoughts, suicidal thoughts, and that we're seeing that increase 2 mass shootings a day in America now. 2. It's not just 1, it's 2.
Yes.
And we have evidence from the fast food brands. Let me talk about this for a second. First of all, we found veterinary drugs and hormones and industrial chemicals in the fast food and the school lunches. We found an aviary contraceptive in Chick-fil-A sandwiches and in 4 samples of school lunches. This is, aviary contraceptive. That means it messes with the hormones. It prevents the eggs from being released in a female chicken. Cannot be good for the hormonal, aspects of our children or the reproductive organs. We also found a butadiol, which is a central nervous system depressant drug in 47% of the fast food samples. We didn't test for this in school lunches. It was only for fast food, but we know that fast food is a supplier of school lunches. And this central nervous system depressant, butadiol, causes aggression. It causes combativeness.
Oh.
And on top of that, the vitamin B3 levels were so low in the fast food that we tested that you would have to eat as a female 333 Chick-fil-A sandwiches to get your recommended daily intake level of vitamin B3 in a day. And there was 0 vitamin B9 and B12. And this is essential because B9, B12, the B complexes are crucial for the formation of the prefrontal cortex. And that's where the good decision-making is made. And that's what would prevent somebody from taking acts of violence or, being aggressive. And there are studies to show that criminals, parolees, and serial killers have low levels of vitamin B. And when they are supplemented, the aggression and the acts of violence decrease 50 to 70% in 1 or 2 weeks. This aggression.
This is unbelievable. I have chills from head to toe. You are doing exactly right now what God wants you to be doing. You are a voice to every single mom on American soil and beyond. I said a couple other times this week, everybody that I was talking to, they should run for president. Literally, I would vote for you as well if you ever ran for president. I just love people that know what's going on and are bold to expose the globalists. That really says a lot. More with Zen and her fantastic resources, books, and so much more right after this.
The Jace case is a pack of 5 antibiotics. We put these antibiotics together very purposefully. They were curated in a way that covers the most common as well as the most deadly bacterial infections that you might encounter. In addition, it includes a guidebook to the safe use of the medications that is written in a way that's accessible for most people to be able to look up what their symptoms are and what the proper medication is to take. The idea behind the Jace case is to allow everyone to be better prepared medically, to be empowered to care for themselves.
Since the pandemic began, our healthcare industry has had to transform. From receiving medication to physician visits, everything changed. Jace Medical is dedicated to providing proper access to medications before you need them. This protects against issues during travel or disruptions with supply chains, natural disasters, and other emergency situations that have proven to overwhelm our healthcare system. Secure your own supply of medication with ease and peace of mind.
Use code TINA for a discount at jacemedical.com.
We have 4 principles. First Amendment, Second Amendment, right to life, military and first responders.
My name's Scott, I'm with Patriot Mobile. What is going on with all the woke companies in this country? It seems like everybody has completely lost their minds, right? No more. This is called voting with our dollars. We need to start prioritizing our beliefs and our values over convenience and comfort. And this is why companies like Patriot Mobile are so important right now.
If you have a place to go put your money, you always want to put it with somebody that's like-minded.
Of course.
I think that's the beauty of Patriot Mobile. We're a conservative alternative.
My pronouns are Bible believer, gun carrier, and mama bear. We are the nation's only Christian conservative wireless provider.
Switch today at patriotmobile.com. For free activation, use promo code TINA.
Hey everybody, no brainer. Get Zen's book immediately. Unstoppable. Yes, you are, woman. Unstoppable. Transforming sickness and struggle into triumph, empowerment, and a celebration of community. Tell us about this fantastic book. And I believe you can also get it on Amazon. Tell us more.
Yes, it is really a community effort. In this book, I interview doctors, scientists, lawyers, reporters, other moms, dads, all kinds of people from across the country. And I tell the story of how I found out about glyphosate and GMOs in the food supply and then did something about it. And it really exposes the entire food supply. And some people have told me it's basically almost like a course in being an activist. If you don't want to be an activist, just an outspoken citizen that's going to stand up for what's right in the world. I also have a section in there that's very important. It's all about how to talk to your family and friends about GMOs, and you can apply that to anything, any type of topic. There's specific steps to take and to have a really transformative conversation.
Last but not least, your fantastic website. Your team already tried reaching out to me earlier, and I was on there for like 3 minutes. I'm like, you guys are on it. A national coalition of unstoppable moms. Right here.
Yeah, there you go. The data is on toxins. Hundreds of articles and scientific studies on GMOs, glyphosate, and everything that I've said on this podcast and, the hundreds of other podcasts and talks I do every year is scientifically sourced. You can see all of the studies right here. You just click on those links and you can get the scientific study or the article. So we are all about science. We are not anti-science. We are actually doing the testing to create, the scientific information.
You're phenomenal. Everybody out there, I know you watch this. I know you're going to go to momsacrossamerica.com for more info. Get out there, everybody. Make a difference. Share this episode. Thank you so much for your support. Zen, you rock. Keep at it, woman. The Counterculture Ministries team put our heads together and created the Pop Culture Purge Tour. This event can be a half a day, full day, or 2-day event loaded with eye-opening, life-changing speakers who have survived or experienced some of the most wild situations in life and are on fire to share their stories. We have people on our speaking team talking about the satanic symbolism, sexual abuse, and sex trafficking, the public school pipeline to Planned Parenthood. That one's a showstopper. A gifted singer-songwriter who has a workshop entitled From Me to Christ in Me, a former news anchor reporter talking about mainstream media madness, another woman who's a mother of 9 and business owner talking about the education indoctrination, an ex-alcoholic and people pleaser, my dear husband, who's talking about identity crisis, a former homosexual, now pastor, a pro-life activist giving her abortion reversal success story, and so much more. If you want more info on this life-saving tour, text the word tour to the number 55444. Once again, tour to the number 55444 to get info on all the different speakers that are available and contact Christy on our team to book an event in your city, town, or backwoods. We've been all over the place, from schools to prisons to cruise ships. Let's do this.